Hello, beautifuls. I wanted to talk today about the ego. I am sure each and every one of us have had the experience of knowing someone who had an overzealous ego, and it isn't always the most pleasant experience to socialize with these people. And I am sure if you're like me, you have had at least once a time or an occasion where your ego reacted in a way that you were not happy about later on. You showed up in a way that you weren't happy about. And the ego is quite often very misunderstood. People are like, oh, you shouldn't have an ego, you should transcend it, you should kill it. But we actually need an ego. The ego is the mediator between the conscious and the unconscious in our experiences. And that mediation allows for us to develop our self-esteem, our self-importance, and our own sense of personal identity. So we need that. We need an ego. We don't need an overzealous one or an unhealthy ego. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between a healthy ego and an unhealthy ego. So our unhealthy egos are fostered or rooted in fear and anxiety, in limiting beliefs, in toxic thought patterns. And they show up in our lives by inhibiting us from stepping into anything that's uncertain. So somebody with an unhealthy ego is likely to continue staying or experiencing an uncomfortable situation because it's known, as opposed to changing what's uncomfortable to the unknown, just because the uncertainty is far more painful than the uncomfortability that they're sitting in. An unhealthy ego also has us setting unrealistic expectations for ourselves and others and really trying to enforce them. And essentially what this unhealthy ego is trying to do is it's trying to protect us. So you can think of it kind of like an armor, right? It's an armor that we are wearing to protect ourselves from the outside world and outside forces. But that armor not only protects us from the outside forces, it prevents us from actually learning to love ourselves. And when we don't love ourselves and we're not secure in ourselves, then everything on the outside is scary. So I'm sure by just this short description of an unhealthy ego, you can see how that would really inhibit us from living our very best life. And what a healthy ego looks like is a healthy ego is open-hearted. It is a secure sense of self. It allows us to navigate the difficult and uncertain events in our life, understanding that we can handle them. It allows us to own our strengths and to accept our imperfections and the imperfections of others. So again, coming back to that idea of once we understand something, it never really has the same control on us as it used to. And so today, that's really what I wanted to just discuss, is just we do have egos, we do need them. Sometimes they are predominantly unhealthy, and what we want to do is to understand how we're showing up in those unhealthy ways, because once we understand it, we can make the changes. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and as always, please Please stay hydrated, nourished, and well rested.